Good afternoon, good
Okay.
morning, good evening, man. It's definitely a pleasure for you to hang out with us. Another the real estate experience, another show. I'm your host, Travon Smith. Once again, the real estate experience. The guy today, we kind of like cross paths, social media cross paths in a building, but never really got a chance to talk. But it's the one and only, my man. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. And just for all the followers and people out there, I am at Tim Russ, aka Tim Russell, your favorite celebrity realtor in the building, as I like to go.
Look,
My catchphrase, my name.
Mr. Russ, I was gonna let you do the intro because I didn't know how you want to come in.
I
And
appreciate that.
you're definitely a vet, so you savvy with with your words and your business. You're somebody I pay attention to. Somebody you might not know because nowadays with all these social media cats and stuff, you never know who's showing love or who like are actually learning from. But like your pages kind of influence everybody. Especially me if you pay attention and it actually teaches you a couple things. But I don't want, it's not about me, it's about you. Go ahead and introduce yourself and let the people know
Sure.
who you are, how you got into real estate, boss.
Sure. So just to take it back, I initially was going to become an attorney. I studied for the LSAT. I did okay. I was going to initially go to law school. I worked at law firms, and I was getting ready for the bar. As you know, life happens. My wife ended up getting pregnant, and I'm like, okay, you know, do I go to law school and invest hundreds of thousands of dollars, come out and not making that? And every attorney I worked for would always say, you would do good in sales, some type of sales. And I'm like, sales, okay. And I'm like, I looked at insurance. I'm like, you make good coin in insurance. And I see a lot of people doing it now, and they're making it bad. Shout out to them. But to make a long story short, my uncle was in real estate, and my other uncle was in real estate. And I would always see them just with large amounts of money. And I don't mean that in a braggadocious way. I just mean that they were living
Yeah.
well and comfortable on their own terms. I'm just like, and I would ask my uncle, like, well, what do you do? He's like, well, the family business, we do real estate, and when I mean family business, that I have a large family. So, you got those uncles and sub uncles, but my older uncles were the ones that I would always see just, living life how they wanted to, all kind of money and just living life. So they were like, you need to get into real estate. And of course, lo and behold, one day I was watching $1 million listings. And of course, that's everybody like, oh, I'm gonna get into real estate. I'm gonna make a quick bag. And that's obviously not the case at all. So to answer your question, I said, do I go to law school or do I study for my real estate test, which is about a 6-week course as opposed to 3 years in law school. So I looked at the cost effectiveness. I'm like, hey, I'm out of 1,500 at the end of the day if real estate don't work out.
Mm.
So lo and behold, I passed my test, get into real estate. So now you own your own business. So it's like, well, what do? You think you're just gonna have all these clients, all these people just calling you up, hey, I want to sell my house. And it doesn't work like that. You gotta know how to market yourself. And obviously you're starting out, you don't have that marketing budget. So my perspective was, okay, a lot of people don't know me. So let me get with a big brokerage because at least they'll know the brokerage. They might not know me. So it'll give me some credibility. So I got with Rodale Realty in the beginning of my career, big brokerage out here in the Valley. And what I noticed is, it was a lot of older agents there. And this is when social media was kind of picking up. This is when Instagram was start getting really, really
Okay.
popping out there. And I would always notice, I'm like, okay, and it's in any office, there's always 3 to 4 top agents. I don't care what brokerage, what state, that's just what it is. So I said, okay, what can I do or what can I bring to benefit them in some type of form or fashion? I said, I don't have no clients. So, and it dawned on me, I said, they don't like sitting open houses. And I got a pop in social media. And this, like, again, to counteract my point, nobody used social media back then. So I sat down with one of the top agents one day. I said, look, you don't like sitting open houses, right? She's like, of course not. I'm like, well, you know me, I have no clients. So I can get your listing really, really a lot of activity based off my social media. Long story short, I did my first big $1 million listing open house in Porter Ranch. And when I tell you I had that thing rocking from social media, I was a hit overnight. I did like kind of like you see those lifestyle videos now, you see the cars pull
Yeah.
up, you see the people get out, they walk into the home, drinking champagne. I'm not going to say I was the originator of that because I'm not, but
I
I
got
would say I was in my career, I was very early on doing that because of the type of properties I had access to because of the top listing agents I was cool with and just taking them out to lunch and just picking their brain. And that just kind of catapulted me. And the rest is history after that.
no, man, that's a lot of information.
I
Um,
hope I wasn't too bad
no,
on
no,
15
no, no,
minutes.
no, no,
I'm
no.
trying to cut it
Hey,
down.
Look, if you're just tuning in, man, it's the man Tim Russ himself right here on the Real Estate Experience. Check in with him. New agents and buyers, sellers. This is the man you might want to go to if your house been sitting on the market too long. Buyers, if you've been with the same agent and things are not moving the way, go see somebody like this guy right here, the one and only Tim
And
Russ.
I'm always here to help, especially my new agents. I'm always here to help. You know, a
Yes,
lot of
sir.
people can, it's cutthroat out there, but there are people that are willing to help. But I want to
Definitely.
see everybody.
And the same energy that you give here is the same energy you give on social media, always trying to help people out. Now let's get into a little bit of the real estate market. We talked a little bit. The rates aren't as favorable as we would like them to be for buyers, correct?
Correct.
So
Correct.
let me ask you this question. With the rates being the way they are, if you had a buyer come to you and say, hey, I'm pre-approved, would you tell them like, hey, let's keep moving forward and get you a house? Or like what kind of advice would you give them if they were pre-approved and they were in they had the chance to buy a house right now?
Absolutely. So I obviously would try to direct them to, because obviously, as you both know, getting it pre-approved, it can be difficult. It's
Yeah.
a lot of moving parts. But I would let them know that, obviously, it's a case by case scenario. But I would also see how much are they working with a down payment, because a lot of people, you'd be surprised, people come with very large down payments. They get gifts from family, and that obviously affects their payment, and obviously the interest rate does affect their payment. But if they're okay and they're in a comfortable position to make that payment for a couple months, you can always refi after 3 months, 3 to 6 months, and lower that payment. And you can obviously do a lot of things with that refinance, and we'll touch on that a little later. But I obviously would want to make sure first, you want people to get in homes they're comfortable in a payment they feel comfortable with.
Mhm.
So I would analyze that and kind of see what they're, because everybody has deal breakers, right?
Yeah.
$500 to $600 to one person may be a deal breaker, but
Yeah.
to the next person, 1,000 to 1,200 might be that deal breaker. And you just kind of want to navigate that and kind of just pick their brain and really analyze their situation, see what they're comfortable with.
You know what, man, I like that answer a lot. Because most people are like, yeah, yeah, but I like how you put it into a scenario like, hey, this might be a deal breaker for this guy, and this might be a deal breaker for this guy. And then because you have some families who might have been trying, who just got pre-approved or whatnot, and able to buy a home, and they've been trying for over a year. So if it's go time, like,
Right.
hey, it's go time right now. But if you can wait,
Right.
like you said, or possibly, you know, you spoke the right language. If you can wait, let's hold on. And um, no, it's definitely a pleasure hanging out with you, man. I want to talk a little bit about maybe possibly investment properties. If you like
Nice.
we talked about, people who have homes, uh, or may not have homes, and let's say the market was fair. What kind of advice will we give to so a scenario for people that might not have homes and the people that may have homes? What's the scenarios you may give them if we're at a standstill and the market's fair, pretty much fair for everybody?
Well, I would say if you definitely have a home, you definitely got the advantage right there. Obviously, if you got good on time payments with the bank, I'm assuming probably that 90% of homeowners now in this given day have equity in a nice little chunk of it.
Yeah.
So you definitely can pull that out and buy a second residence or investment property. And if you work with a great lender, and I have a couple people, if anybody wants to reach out to me, they can get income investment property started, and you don't even have to take a large amount down and get started. And as you know, rent in California alone, I'm not even just going to subject it to LA. It's ridiculous. And if you get especially if you get a duplex or triplex, and you get some income generating property, the tax benefits. And I'm not a tax person, but I won't get into all that. That's not my lane. But so many write offs with that, and it could just really benefit you. But and I would say for the people, and to answer the second part of your question, I would say the people who aren't homeowners,
Mm.
people get so caught up on, I got to drop all this down. And it's like, there's so many programs out there. And even with the new B of A program out there, and, I'm not going to touch too much on that because I haven't read the fine print, and I want most people out there to read it. Now, I'm not saying it's a good or bad. I'm
Yes, sir.
not here
Yes, sir.
to, trample on that. I would say just read the fine print, and I haven't done it yet, so I'm not going to go too in depth with that. But I would say a lot of people get caught up on how much is the down payment, how much do I need? And there's so many programs, FHA, and you know, the loan limits have increased so much, and you could be looking at 3.5% down on a property, and that's, it's a lot of money. But when you do the math, I mean, and the income it can generate to invest in that type of property and what your return will be is just astronomical. And
I,
to
hey,
answer your question.
man, hey, no, man, I might need an hour with you, brother. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm enjoying everything you're giving to me. We only got a couple more minutes, man. As you know, we do 15 minutes.
Sure, and I'll try to shorten it up. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, 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 no. You don't
I'm
do
trying to
anything.
squeeze so much in
No,
there.
you keep doing what you do. You know what I'm saying? I'm enjoying it because we can always bring you back another time. So I want to ask you this because we got a couple minutes. What would be your idea? Let's say if somebody said, "Hey, my first property, I don't live in a home. I still currently rent. But what do you suggest or your opinion on them getting a investment property before getting their own, property where they live, where they reside
Yeah,
as a resident?"
I think that's an excellent idea, and I do have some clients that have done that, and I would say I would recommend it as long as you're okay with a mortgage payment and rent. I mean, obviously, your tenants will be taking care of, the mortgage, and whatever's left over from that, you can apply it to whatever you may see fit. But yeah, I would say if you're in, long-term leases or situations like that, I mean, you could obviously move a tenant out, but as you know, California tenant law is a little tricky, so I would advise carefully of that. But if you got a good tenant, of course, if you use a good agent, wink, wink, who vets
Yeah,
the tenant properly, you won't have those kind of issues. But I think that's also a good idea too, because some people, hey, a lot of people are in California and LA in particular are bi-coastal, so they're not, here a lot. So you could always have that income coming in, and anything happens at your rental, you always got a place to go. So that's
man.
obviously beneficial as well.
Mr. Tim Russ, I see that lawyer part of you in your conversation. I can see why they told you, man, you be good in sales. I mean, you sold me
Yeah.
right now. If you just tuning in, man, real estate experience, the one and only Tim Russ. Can you give them the information where they can reach you out, if whether it's a new agent,
Sure.
whether it's a buyer, seller, email, whatever you want to give, you comfortable with, man.
Yeah, I feel comfortable. My contact info is at my Instagram as well, but at Tim Russ. But you feel free to reach out to me via DM. You can call me 818-854-5664. I'm an open book. Anybody that's thinking about getting into real estate, I highly recommend it, even if it's just part-time. I'm always here to help. Obviously, I needed help along the way. Shout out to my mentors and people that helped me along the way. And I'm always here to pay it forward.
Man, we like I said, I appreciate you for stopping by. I know you're a busy man. It's a pleasure. We definitely got to bring you back because I got more and more questions. I'm gonna have to
Of
ask.
course, anytime.
But thank you again. It's Tim Russ. We'll have all his information in the description below. I like that back wall and all that stuff in the back right there.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful
I tried
home.
to clean up for you.
Hey, it's all good, man. I appreciate the knowledge you dropped. But once again, it's at Tim Russ. We'll put his information in the description, and it's definitely somebody you want to reach out to and maybe even get, a second opinion about some things that you need to talk about. So, hey, once again, appreciate
Feel
you.
free.
Thanks again, man.
Thanks, Travon.
No problem.
Appreciate it.